Hi, how you doing, everybody? It's Carpo coming at you from my garage area. This is where I hang out. I'm sitting here with a couple of my vices. This isn't one of them. I do not drink alcohol. This is a one of those rare occasions where I bought a six-pack of cider. So I've had a couple. Thought I'd come out and make a video real quick. No, I'm not drunk. But inspired, rather. It's interesting because when I read a lot of, I've read a lot of, let's say, trip reports on Arrowhead and other places about various herbs people have taken that they've tried to get, certain effects from. And it's really hard to find actual reports by people who have taken herbs for a long period of time, like Mucuna, which I've been taking for about 2 months now. And whenever I read the articles, it always shows people who say, oh yeah, it synergizes well with alcohol. Not Mucuna particularly, but just herbs in general. Kanna is one in particular that synergizes well with cannabis, they say, and with alcohol. But since I don't drink, I never combine alcohol with the various herbs or medications I'm taking, which I think is really important. If you are taking certain, herbs or medications which contain certain compounds, just be aware whether or not they interact with alcohol. But it's complicated to know that. I mean, there's not a lot of science to stand up behind even the herbs that are on the market, and let alone how well they interact with alcohol or not. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here for a minute. It's I mentioned in the last video, one of the last videos, that they did a report in 2013 which said 65% of all the herbal remedies and medications on the market contained at least herbs that weren't supposed to be in there, and a full 30% or so contained none of the active herb or component that they are said to contain. In other words, you can basically grind up any leaf, put it in a capsule, and sell it. And when you're selling a product that doesn't have an effect on the immediate feeling of the person, for example, an herb that maybe takes time to accumulate in the bloodstream, or it's just claimed to make you a little more happy, or maybe help, for example, Mucuna, I guess, a person might say, well, you take it and you have a certain, kind of a placebo effect of how it works for you. And this may be true for a lot of people, because to be honest, a lot of herbs work this way, but if you look at the historical use of some of these things, you find out that they do tend to work. Well, you just have to be smart and do your own research. I did research on Mucuna, and I started finding out that, I'm going to have to take this for a while to see. It's been about 2 months now taking it, and I feel fantastic. But here's the thing, not only did it improve my mood, it also, and it increased my motivation. And I know it's the Mucuna that's doing this, because it's such a distinct feeling. But then again, placebo effect. So I kept trying it, then I stopped for a few days, or a week or so, then I started again, and it does seem to help to boost that daily feeling of well-being. And there were only a couple of, the positive effects are phenomenal. A couple of the downsides are, one is having deja vu all the time, which I haven't had in a day or two, but I was having a lot of that, and it was really interesting. That had to do with dopamine. But now I'm lessening my dose and finding a dose that works for me. One thing that's really important is that it takes away my urge for other addictions. As funny as that sounds, I smoke a lot of pot, and after taking Mucuna, I've noticed I just don't have the desire to get stoned during the daytime anymore. And for a stoner, you'll know what I mean. I mean, a lot of people wake and bake, and they smoke all day, and if you're a person like, I've smoked for 23 years, all the time pretty much. I quit for a couple of years, but the Mucuna really seems to have an amazing effect on just a general sense of well-being. Now I've discussed that, the best way to get you know, your your amino acids, your various compounds that you need for survival, as well as, you know, to feel good, L-tyrosine and all these different compounds, which is converted, you know, into L-dopa, then into dopamine. There are various ways to get it. My thought, I mean, I've had discussions with folks like Phil who said that, you know, that red meat or meat is generally the best way to get it for me. I don't eat red meat, so I find that Mucuna is the best way to get it. And it seems to make a huge difference for me. And I find that whatever works for you, and whatever works for your body type and your diet and your decision of, you know, but ultimately the test is actually consuming it for a period of time to see really, you know, how it affects you. And I was taking Kanna for a few days, and I took it on and off for a period of time, and it was really interesting. It seemed to just boost instantly, make me feel great, but it works mostly in the evening. It made me feel like I was rolling and rolling. When I came home from my friend's house, and I'd taken it earlier in the day, but it doesn't seem to really affect me till later in the evening. And I got home, and my wife thought I had already taken some Molly, because I seemed, which is MDMA for those who don't know. She thought I'd taken something. She's like, "Are you tripping? Are you rolling?" I was like, "No, I'm just feeling really good." I was laying there with my blanket. Just, it felt like the serotonin was flowing. And if you've ever taken MDMA, you'll know that that feeling is very distinct. And it seems like that's triggered in the evenings for me, and at certain times. But it's interesting because I've been noting my diet over the past few years and trying to figure out what things when I eat do I feel good, and when I eat meat I do feel great. When I eat red meat, I feel fantastic the next day. But the thing is, I'm having a hard time eating red meat because my conscience just steps in and I say, it's just not right. It just doesn't feel right to eat cows. You know, that's just my personal opinion. So anyway, my point, I guess, being that, you know, Mucuna seems to be a great working herb for dopamine, while Kanna is a great anxiolytic that works as an SSRI, which has to do with serotonin. Both of these taken together isn't probably the best idea. I would say that, you know, take the Mucuna in the morning and the Kanna in the evening if that's something that you want to do. These are all, you know, personal choices. I choose to take the Kanna only when I need it, and I take the Mucuna about a teaspoon of 25% L-dopa every morning, so 500 milligrams a day. And it really seems to improve my mood, outlook, and, you know, it's just cool. I just like to share this stuff because we're all learning together, and there's a lot of science behind how these things work, but there's a lot more evidence within the individuals who have actually experienced the feelings of these herbs and who have actually benefited from them, who can say, you know, placebo or not, the stuff works. So I guess that's all I got for now. I'm actually running out of time on my memory card, like always. So I bid you all adieu and have a great evening.